and welcome into a For What It's Worth quick segment number 3. And I am joined once again with Erik, Bryan, and Tyrone. These quick take segments are becoming ones that I do with you guys, not just by myself. And I got to say, I'm not complaining at all. It's nice to have you guys here again. And I think we're going to keep the same format that we did last time. We're going to set 15 minutes on the timer, and this is going to be an NCAA basketball men's tournament. It would be fun to talk some women's, but we're going to focus on the men's for now. 15 minutes on the clock like last time. We're kind of just going to share some of our initial thoughts on the bracket. I have some questions written down about some teams that we'll dive into. And in case you missed last episode of the Quick Take, first off, you should go watch it. It's a good time. Second off, as I mentioned, there will be a 15-minute timer. If you're watching and not just listening, if you're watching, that will be somewhere on the screen. I'm pointing, but I don't know quite where it'll be yet, but it'll be somewhere. And so you'll be able to follow along with how much time is left for Erik, Bryan, and Tyrone. They don't know. So I will be saying every once in a while, like, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And then once that 15 minutes hit, it's done. We got to stop talking about whatever we're talking about. So are you guys ready to talk some NCAA men's basketball?
Absolutely.
All right. Here we go. When I say go, that means I started the timer. That's not only for you guys, but for myself when I go back and edit this. All right. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So let's dive right into it. Tyrone, we'll start with you. Just kind of your initial thoughts on this year's bracket, whether that's maybe a favorite team, a couple favorite teams, some good matchups, whatever. Just what are your initial thoughts on this year's bracket?
My initial thoughts are for UConn to be the number 1 seed. They definitely have the hardest region. If anybody knows KenPom, it's one of the dopest or the most one of the metrics that people love looking at. Auburn is the 4th seed in that region, and they're literally the 4th best team on KenPom. They're the 4th best team on KenPom. So if I was UConn, I would kind of be upset at that. But me, I'm probably gonna have Auburn go fairly far in my bracket, whether it be Elite 8 or Final 4.
Okay, yeah, and I agree. I guess you didn't necessarily say this, but yeah, I don't think UConn. I don't think UConn wins again this year, even though they were the 1 seed. I just don't see it. Erik, let's go to you. Any initial thoughts that you want to share about this year's bracket?
I don't know. There's still a lot to think about, but I like where Ty went. Is that Auburn? Honestly, UConn got pretty unlucky with that draw, being having the 4th best team, based off KenPom being in their same side of the bracket. It's a little unfortunate, but
it is. Come tournament time, though. I mean, these are some of the best teams. Bryan, anything stick out to you and your initial thoughts on this year's bracket?
This is probably the most college basketball I've watched this year. Bet on a lot, didn't win, you know how it goes.
Yeah,
but I think this is going to be a fantastic tournament. I am so stoked for Thursday. But as of right now, I have UConn. But that's because I doubted them last year and they ended up winning. So, I mean, I think it's just going to be tough to beat them. They brought pretty much everybody back from last year. They know what to do, and they're just all around just a talented team. So,
yeah. And they would be the first to do it since the 06, 07 Florida Gators, to go back-to-back. Yeah, for real. So, but yeah, just my initial thoughts. Like I said, I shared, I don't think UConn wins it again this year. And I think that's kind of one of my main takeaways because everyone's just raving about how good they are. And I think, too, another thing is, man, St. Peter's, that's a team I feel like we just got to keep a watch on because anytime they're at the tournament, I feel like they do some damage. So that should be a fun team as well. My first question I'm going to pose to you, we are hitting or close to hitting the 12-minute mark here. First question, does Purdue get to a Sweet 16 this year? We know their history and their past, but they'll face a 16 seed, and then they'll face the winner of Utah State or TCU. And if they get to the Sweet 16, they'll face most likely a Gonzaga or a Kansas, most likely. So Erik, I saw you kind of making some motions. Do you think Purdue gets to the Sweet 16 this year? They kind of break that bad streak that they've been on.
Yes, I do. I was watching a kind of a breakdown analysis of Purdue this season, and that I forgot his name now. I feel stupid, but the guard that they have, him and
Smith.
Zach Edey, yes, Smith, him and Zach Edey have the best two-man game that, I mean, just watching it was like, and even all the pieces around them, it's really, obviously it's a five-man offense, but it's based on them, and if they kind of try to shut that down, kick it to a shooter.
Yep.
I mean, it just looks beautiful, and I saw, and they say that Edey has only increased all of his like stats per game, so
Yep.
I think it's different. Not maybe not like a make it to the final or even Final Four, but not a early round exit.
Okay.
How they have been in the past.
Yep, and that might be a better way to word it. Bryan, do you think Purdue can avoid an early round exit, whether that be the first or second round?
Yeah, I think I think they should easily win the first round, and I think they probably have one of the easier 8-9 matchups to go up against. I think that's
Utah State's team's not bad though.
I don't know too much about them personally, but I mean, like, I wouldn't much like if they were going against having to play either FAU or Northwestern. I think that would be tough since you play Northwestern, and FAU pretty much is a lot of the same team from last year. But I think they would run into some trouble at the Sweet 16, whether if that's Gonzaga or maybe Sanford or McNeese. If KU is healthy at that point, you get Dickerson back and McCollum, then maybe you see them go out, but as of now, I think they have a pretty good chance to probably get to the Elite Eight for sure.
And that's what I'm saying too. It really comes down to Kansas because I think they can get over a Gonzaga or a Kansas. Now Gonzaga is still pretty good too, but more of a down year per se for them. Tyrone, does Purdue avoid an early round exit this year?
100%. This is not the same Purdue team it was from last year. A lot of what Erik was saying is very true. Purdue is the second best shooting team in the NCAA right now. They shoot 40% from three, which is fantastic. So you can't double Zach Edey. You can't double on pick. You can't do anything. You just have to play him. Well, you can play him. You can double team him, but he's gonna kick it out, and there's a 40% chance if he's wide open, his teammate's gonna make it. So you have to play Zach Edey straight up, or hope that the second best team at shooting that basketball misses it. So as long as they're able to hit their kickout threes, which I think they will. I mean, they've shot 40% throughout the whole season. They should, like you guys were saying, they should at least make it to the Elite Eight for sure.
Yeah, I think this is a year. I think they avoid an early round exit. I think this is a year that they can get to the Sweet 16. And what's funny is I think that depending, of course, on if Kansas can get healthy by that time, if they can survive that long, I think their Sweet 16 matchup might, depending, like I said, if Kansas is healthy, might be more ideal than their second round potential. But I still think that Purdue does avoid the early round exit this year. All right. Here's a fun one, and I'll bring these up real quick because I don't know if you guys have it pulled up in front of you or not. But and this could be a quick one. We are at 8 minutes, 8:13, so 8 minutes. And 11 of the 12 tournaments when the first four have existed, so that's like Howard, Wagner, Virginia, Colorado State this year, those teams, at least one has participated in the second round. In your guys' eye, is there a team that kind of sticks out to you? I think it might be Virginia. And I know their offense is absolutely terrible, but that defense is really good, and defense goes a long ways in the tournament, and they just have tournament experience. But that Colorado State team, they're kind of sneaky too. Any of you guys, is there any of those 8 teams that stick out to you?
Colorado State play. Who do they play in their playing?
They play Virginia. No, Colorado plays Boise. Colorado State plays Virginia.
I would definitely still go with Colorado because Colorado has an NBA player on his team. I think Cody Williams is his name. He's going to be a top 15. He might be a top 10 pick. I heard some people say he might be the number one pick. He's pretty good. And I also think the NCAA tournament is a time where ballers ball out. And Virginia, their offense is bun, so they don't have any ballers.
All right. Bryan, Erik, any of those first four teams that you think could make it to the second round?
I think it's going to come out of the state of Colorado, whether that be Colorado State or Colorado.
All right.
Because I mean that's just pretty common sense. I would say that's the 10 seed opposed to a 16 seed doing
Yep.
that.
But hey,
yeah, but I think
last year the
Colorado
16th
and
seed got to
Colorado
the second
State.
round.
Yeah.
But I know what
think
you're saying.
I think Colorado and Colorado State will both win their games. So at that point, it's going to be one of those two.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. Colorado plays Boise State, right? I can't really go into the preview. So I think Colorado's the team to look out because if they win, they'd play Florida, who just lost their big man to a very gruesome injury. Hope all goes well with that. But
Yeah.
I think you got Florida down at the right time. I think you get that one win, you're already kind of a head start because you already warmed up. So I think Colorado could win the first game and then beat Florida, and then who knows, depending on if Marquette wins
They
against
could beat Marquette.
then they could beat Marquette too because they're also going through injuries as well. So you could be looking at maybe Colorado in the Sweet 16 if all goes well.
I just looked it up, and Cody Williams is, according to Yahoo Sports, is projected to be the #1 pick next year too.
I don't
really
really.
Colorado State.
Colorado is this? Oh no, I'm talking about a dude from Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado.
Which one is he on?
But still, he's on Colorado.
Okay,
which still helps helps Brian's case.
I picked Colorado. I think it's gonna be Colorado.
All right, that's fair. See, I don't like to admit this too much, but you guys might have persuaded me. I was thinking it was gonna the winner was gonna either be Virginia or Colorado State. Like whoever won out of that game was gonna be the one. But now you guys are kind of almost persuading me more to Colorado. But initially, I was gonna say it was either gonna be Colorado State or Virginia. But I don't know. I'm going to have to sit down and really think about this one tonight. All right, we're at 4 minutes and 53 seconds. Not only has a number 15 seed won a first-round game in 3 consecutive years for the first time, but all 3 went on to reach the Sweet 16. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but what 15 seed would upset a number 2 seed this year? If there is one.
Yeah, Western Kentucky easily. Marquette without their point guard Tyler K. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's pretty hard to pronounce, but he's easily, in my opinion, the best point guard in college basketball. And without them, they're not like a bad team, but obviously without the guy that runs the show, it gets a lot harder, especially in those tough times and when there's 4 minutes left in the game and you're like, all right, let's give the ball to our best player and hopefully he can chuck up a BS shot and he hits it and he might pull it. Their second best player might pull it. Jason Tatum hit the rim. So without him, they're as vulnerable as it gets. But Shaka Smart is Shaka Smart, so I don't really want to disrespect him like that.
All right, so it sounded like both Brian and Tyrone are agreeing on Western Kentucky. And Eric, before you answer, I just want to say this, that South Dakota State, the 15 seed going against the 2-seeded Iowa State Cyclones, they were the only 15 seed that finished in the top 2 of its conference. Don't know if that changed.
Iowa State's going to play a home game, though, so it doesn't matter.
This year, South Dakota State, first in the Summit League, is the only 15 seed that finished in the top 2 of its conference. I didn't know if that. Okay, I just didn't know if I was going to persuade you or not.
Going to be, I think the most likely. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think the most likely would agreeing with them would be Western Kentucky just because of injury. But let's say in a hypothetical world where Marquette was not injured, their star player, I would easily pick Long Beach State. That's not because they're good. I just think Arizona's going to lose early.
Yeah, they still too. I think Arizona. I think it was Arizona or Tennessee. One of those two teams have lost to a double-digit seed in the past 2 tournaments.
Arizona lost to Princeton last year as a 2 seed. That's what it was probably. They lost to Princeton.
Yep. Princeton was it was Princeton last year. It was St. Peter's in 2022, and it was Oral Roberts in 2021. And I'm gonna do the fun pick. And I'm going St. Peter's over Tennessee. Something about Tennessee in a tournament right now kind of scares me. And St. Peter's, I love riding that St. Peter's train, man. They just seem just that magic run they have. This is something that seems magical about them. And that's, when it comes down to March, sometimes you got to get rid of the X's and O's. Sometimes you got to get rid of that stuff and just go by vibes. And I'm just getting that vibe. So if I had to pick one, that's it. All right. We have 2 minutes remaining here until we have to wrap it up. I'm going through my questions. I was trying to see if there was get to the good ones.
It's a double-digit question. I like that one.
What are you?
who of a double-digit seed will get to the Sweet 16? When you brought that up
Okay,
in the group chat, I
all
like
right.
that one.
Well, all right, perfect. I just pulled it up here. So, a minute 40 left. Here we go, Brian. I'll let you take away since you wanted this one and I wanted it too. But a double-digit seed has advanced to the Sweet 16 in 15 straight tournaments. That's right, 15 straight and 36 of 38 overall. There's only been 2 tournaments that a double digit hasn't made the Sweet 16. What double digit seed in your eyes has the best chances? We got a minute 20. Brian, you go first.
I got New Mexico, who won the Mountain West, who coming off a big win in their tournament. They play Clemson first round. I think they get that done, and then they would play either Baylor or Colgate. I think they'll play Baylor because Baylor's going to win, and I think they beat Baylor and they get into the Sweet 16. But I have them losing to Arizona, but it's still early. But I think I like New Mexico a lot.
All right, 55 seconds. Eric, double digit seed to reach a Sweet 16. Which is your favorite?
I also have New Mexico, but for a different answer, I like Oregon to make it to the Sweet 16.
All right, 42 seconds. Tyrone?
I'm going to fall off that. All the teams in that region, Oregon, McNeese State, and Sanford, all have a great chance to make it to the Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
All the 6-11 matchups are fantastic, by the way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I agree. If I had it, we got 24 seconds, and I'm just my favorite double seed. I think, or yeah, double digit seed. I think I got to hop on with Brian on this one. I think New Mexico. Just looking at what I have down now, I feel the most comfortable. But I think Oregon would be second most. And if you wanted a sleeper from me, you probably will be like, what? But it would be James Madison. All right, that is literally the timer. You can hear it going off right now. I tried to stop it. I didn't want to scare any of you guys listening. I'm sorry. But I know if, some nightmares probably hit you like, oh, man, I got to wake up. But anyways, that was, for what it's worth, quick take segment number 3, NCAA basketball tournament. The men's side went over just some of our favorite picks and just some other topics of discussion. If you're listening / watching on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe. Leave a comment. Let us know who you have in your Final Four and then who you have winning it. And then after that, scroll up a little bit. Go ahead, hit like, and then send that link to someone. If you're listening / watching on Spotify, go ahead. Give us 5 stars, please. Then go ahead and send that link to someone because people got to hear this, right? People are filling out brackets. People need to know. They got to hear this. Go ahead. You can follow us on Twitter /X, on TikTok, any social media. It's at FWIW Sports Pod. I'm Calvin Silvers, joined by Eric, Brian, and Tyrone. And until next time, we hope you guys have a good one.